Austin, and welcome back to the Big Bid Theory. Bill Colhane alongside Jim Ward. For those of you who have returned to TBBT, and by the looks of the numbers from episode 1, many of you have, great to see you again. If you're a first-time listener, greetings from the ATX and also our little show, The Big Bid Theory. Today we have our first guest. Yep, plural. Owl feathers and cockroaches. You'll want to stay tuned. JW has unearthed a crazy bid, one that we hope can reach the same stratosphere as you remember last time, a hospital buying 900 cartons of cigarettes.
In Louisiana.
Off we go. Over our sabbatical, we had a fragment, just a little iota of concern that people would forget about our little show. Our tribulations were without merit.
Completely, Bill, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, I never really thought that. I mean, just literally from the constant interaction I had with people about the podcast.
You were in Russia.
Yeah.
So how do you know?
Because in Russia, we're huge.
They have internet?
Well, you know, Hasselhoff has Germany. We have the Russian market under our hammer.
Very good. Now, during season 1, we visited with a variety of guests, Maine to California. That qualifies. One of the goals of this show is to have interesting, bright people on as guests. Yeah. If you want the dry, monotone, humdrum procurement blah, those other shows are out there. They're available. You can look on the internet and find those. With that said, Jim worked the phones earlier this week and lined up 2 individuals who are experts on biomimicry. Hey, Bill! I thought this show was about procurement and purchasing and government. Why biomimicry? What is biomimicry? Folks, you know by now. It's on the banner of the Big Bid Theory. Governments are interested in everything and will buy anything. With that being said, here's our visit with Carol Thaler and
the great Carol. Go ahead, I'm sorry, but I want to emphasize that.
Here's our visit with Carol Thaler and Christine Hockman from Great Lakes Biomimicry.
As we teased at the start of the show, we're extremely excited, elated about our next guest. As a matter of fact, the first guest of Season 2, I might add, Carol Thaler, who is the Director of Administration and Outreach for the Great Lakes Biomimicry based in Cleveland, joins us on the TBBT hotline. And a special bonus, also Christine Hockman, who heads up Resources, Marketing, and Communications for Great Lakes Biomimicry on the hotline as well. Carol and Christine, we appreciate you folks visiting with us. And first of all, I consider myself most certainly a novice when it comes to...
He's a novice.
when it comes to biomimicry. So, Carol, Christine, what is biomimicry?
Well, let me explain it how Janine Benyus starts off many times. It's looking at nature as a teacher rather than a warehouse where we extract goods. And what does nature as a teacher means? It's looking at the shapes in nature, a tree branching structure, the shape of a bird's beak, or how spiders are put together, to learn how to solve the problems that we have. So an owl doesn't eat if it's really loud. That little mouse will hear it coming, and it will get away. But owl feathers are very unique in that it allows for silent flight. And how can we learn from the shape of an owl feather is a great question, to make quieter fans, for example. That's just one example of how we can learn from nature.
This is Jim Ward with the Big Bid Theory. First off, just wanted to thank you guys very, very much. I personally got introduced to biomimicry on a large scale from the South by Southwest presentation, I guess, in 2015. And I'm a huge fan. I'm a fanboy of you two. So thank you very, very much. So one thing I wanted to get into was, how do you guys see biomimicry helping advance environmental as well as economic issues?
The idea that the economy and the environment should always be at odds with each other, I think, is a false choice. I think by looking to nature you can find a new way to innovate based on research and development that's been going on for 3.8 billion years. So, in fact, we can jumpstart innovation by looking to nature, which will then do both things, create a stronger economy and create new kinds of jobs, and then also the result being a healthier environment.
So win-win, right?
I think so.
Well, obviously, the Obamas do as well. I was talking with Carol about this earlier, but for the rest of you, when President Obama was building the specs out for his library, he was very, very specific in saying that he wanted it based on principles of biomimicry to create a living building, which I thought was really, really cool to see that in the public sector. Are you seeing it becoming more and more prominent within the public sector, or is it still mostly private?
I think it is getting a foothold in the public sector, especially here in Northeast Ohio, in a couple of ways. First, we have the NASA Glenn Research Center that has been located here in Cleveland for quite a while. And they are looking to nature to help them solve their problems. I know that they've been working with our zoo to gather owl feathers and seal whiskers to help with their projects. They also are hosting an event in August coming up this year that is centered around biomimicry. So I know that they have many researchers that are starting to look to nature to solve problems, and in fact, they've already been doing it for a while, and those researchers are then getting in deeper into the question. Another example is the Ohio Department of Natural Resources is investing in biomimicry while they are trying to answer the question of how to create a healthier and structurally sound bulkhead along the Cuyahoga River ship channel. So what this bulkhead is right now, it's sheet metal that holds back the land and creates the waterway for the boats to navigate. It's not very environmentally friendly, and in fact, it is degraded in a lot of cases. So through biomimicry, they want to know how they can create a shipping channel, but also create places for larval fish to grow before they head out to Lake Erie. So yeah, I think in government, there's a lot of places where people are starting to look and ask those questions.
On a side note on that, now, would that be the ship channel that runs through the flats?
It is.
Oh,
have you
wow.
been to Cleveland?
Oh, gosh, yes. Love Cleveland. Huge fan.
All right.
Huge fan. And I would think the majority of our listeners that have been to Cleveland know the flats very well. Very interesting tie-in. So, Christine, had a couple questions here for you. As far as examples of biomimicry, I mean, the obvious being like Velcro, the kingfisher, things like that. What is your favorite example?
My favorite example of biomimicry, huh?
I know, and I'm putting you on the spot.
I guess it changes based on my mood and what is currently out there. But one thing that I recently was learning about that is super fascinating is the fact that cockroaches are being used to study ways to make robots or little machines that go in and help find people in disaster zones. So if there's an earthquake and buildings fall down,
wow,
that these little machines can go in and they could actually find people or help find people. And what's interesting about that is everyone hears the word cockroach and they freak out. They think it's gross. I don't want to even think about a cockroach. But if you really look into it, and what they're finding is these cockroaches can just take so much force, and they can actually squeeze their bodies so small in half that they can get through all these little places. So it's a really neat way to say, looking at nature, you might first think, wow, that critter is kind of gross, or I'm not really interested in spiders or cockroaches, but really there are lessons in everything around us. And if the cockroach can teach us something, well, that's, I think, pretty awesome.
No, that is an awesome example. I read a little bit about that, but I wasn't aware of the depth of the research on that. And the second part was kind of off topic, just for a second here. So out of the Beatles, the Fab Four, who is your favorite Beatle and why?
My favorite Beatle?
Your favorite Beatle. You know, a lot of people are John and Paul. I'm personally a George person, but I was just curious.
I would have to go with Paul. He's probably my favorite.
Okay, fair enough.
And he's going to be in Cleveland in a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
There you go. So Paul it is. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you being game and fielding those, Christine.
No problem.
Okay. This is Bill again, and just to remind everybody, Carol Thaler and Christine Hockman from the Great Lakes Biomimicry, kind enough to join us on the Big Bid Theory hotline. Carol or Christine, I'll throw this out to both of you. I understand, based on the research that Jim and I did, you have a fundraiser underway. Can you tell us more about that, more details?
Sure. We do have a fundraiser that's coming up starting on May 3rd, and we do a lot of work, and we have a few different arms for what we do. We work with businesses and promote economic development, but we also work in education, and that's really the focal point, and that's the base for a lot of what we do. We work by getting biomimicry into schools, training teachers, educating students, working with informal partners like zoos and museums. And what we're trying to do is really change the way teachers teach, change the way students are learning by using biomimicry. So we're doing a crowdfunding campaign to help raise funds so we can get into more schools, train more teachers, and make a bigger impact in our community and spread out. And we're starting this on May 3rd. It's going to run for 6 weeks, and we hope to raise $150,000. So starting on May 3rd, people can go to our website, which is glbiomimicry.org. They can find information starting at that time, and they can launch over to our campaign page, learn some more about what we're doing, how we're making an impact, and what we're going to do with this money, and see some testimonials and even a video to explain better what we're doing with this crowdfunding campaign.
Outstanding. Now, a segue from the fundraising campaign, and keep in mind, and our listeners know this, we have listeners literally from sea to shining sea. If anybody has any additional questions, if they want to learn more about biomimicry, even apart from the fundraiser, if they want to learn more about Great Lakes Biomimicry, how can they contact you? Is there any other contact information you want to pass along, maybe from a biomimicry-related organization outside of Cleveland, Ohio?
So as Christine noted, Great Lakes Biomimicry is a resource, but there are many places around the world where people are getting together and wanting to, work on biomimicry. The Biomimicry Institute has a web page with a map of the world that shows the contact information for people that are working on biomimicry. And I know you all are there in Texas, and I have to give a shout-out to Kathy Zarsky and Biomimicry Texas that is co-hosted in both Austin and Houston. So those should be great places to start.
Outstanding. Well,
Kathy Zarsky.
Well, Carol and Christine, this is Bill again. We sure do appreciate you visiting with us on behalf of our listeners and production team here in Austin. Thanks for carving some time out of your busy schedules.
Thanks for having us.
No problem. It's been fun.
Thank you very much.
You.
Jim, you're far more an expert on biomimicry than I am. Well, I said it during the interview there. I could tell this, though. Carol and Christine are passionate about biomimicry, know what they're talking about, and it's obvious that they're subject matter experts.
Yes. So I am a fanboy now of both Christine and Carol. I like literally I giggle like a Bill or a schoolgirl.
Same thing.
I know. It's just the mere thought of them. They're so great. So thank you very much. And a couple caveats. This is kind of funny. So when I just dropped the question on Christine about the Beatles, this is so funny. She, in her mind, the first thing that came to mind were actual beetles, the insects.
We were talking about owl feathers and cockroaches. That makes sense.
Totally. And so she wrote me this great email, like naming off the different beetles that she was thinking of. So, but her answer, for the record, was George Harrison, just like my own. So kudos once again to Christine.
And don't forget as well, folks, you can go back earlier in the podcast, go to the interview, and you can get all the contact information on Great Lakes Biomimicry. Now, Jim, it's crazy bids time, my friend. Don't clown around with us. Is it possible that you can top 900 cartons of cigarettes at a hospital
in Louisiana? I don't know, but I'm going to try. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Crazy Bids That You Can Win. So this bid comes to us out of Mount Vernon, New York. To give you a little background, Bill, I've been there before, quite a few times actually, always to see Widespread Panic, Fish, or the Grateful Dead. So,
I've heard of them.
Okay, exactly. So that's the point of reference. So this bid is for their school district there, the boys and girls there, for clowns, just clowns. No specialty, no anything.
Now, Jim, I know NIGP codes are like having a bikini in a blizzard. Is there an NIGP code for that for clowns?
You know what?
I'm not saying the codes are worthless, or am I?
No. And I mean, surprisingly, I was actually shocked there wasn't. It looks like it was coded under fireworks.
Say that again, Jim.
Well, yeah, so it's for clowns, but it was coded under fireworks. That's funny. Funny clowns. But it's really hard, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, not to just every pun in the world goes with a clown. And let me back up for a second. So I said in the first season, I have an enormous fear of clowns. I mean, I have nightmares, and it's with clowns.
And what did I say last season? I said that fact makes you human.
Well, I mean, no, it's like, I know the incident that it stems from. I was a Ute. It was a circus. I cried. My parents had to leave early, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, that 2011 was a rough year for you.
It was 2010. So that being said, I go forward with trepidation. So this clown bid went unfulfilled. It had just expired very, very recently, and there were no clowns. Now, I told you the times I've been there, seeing Panic and Fish and the Dead. I saw plenty of clowns, Bill. I saw so many people that could have taken this job. Now, there was also no bid for a face painter, an ass sketch artist, and I'm kidding on that last one, of course. But so for any clowns in the greater New York area, Westchester County, you will want to do not contact me. First off, because I can already see that some light bulbs, Bill, going off in some friends of mine's heads. Don't do that. So I need you to contact Gail White Wallace at 914-665-5300 and apply to get the job for a clown. And there you have it, a crazy bid that you can win.
If you want to. See, for that one, you have to add the qualifier if you want to.
Oh, I would do it. I mean, if there were one in Austin right now, I mean, I'm there.
All right, partner.
Although I do scare myself. I'm very, very complex.
All right, partner. Well, cigarettes, clowns, our first two crazy bids of season 2. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. Please set up a reminder in your day planner to download, share, and follow TBBT on iHeart, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spreaker. You can email me at bculhane@bidprime.com or Jim at jward@bidprime.com. The show's Twitter handle is at The Big Bid Theory. Jim's on Twitter as Jim Ward, the number 6. I'm contract_hunter. Jim, we've gone from Vladimir Putin to cigarettes in the hospital, a couple of experts talking about owl feathers, cockroaches, and shipping channels. Life is good, my friend.
Life is good, and I would like to just one last time heap my undivided praise on Carol and Christine for coming through like just money. You know what I mean?
Great
Jordan and Cleveland.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they like Jordan in Cleveland.
No, that's what I'm saying. They were as clutch as Jordan was in Cleveland.
Okay.
When we knocked them down. But
for Jim, our energetic and equally good-looking staff, many thanks again to Carol and Christine from Great Lakes Biomimicry. You can visit their website at glbiomimicry.org. And thanks to you for helping to make TBBT the favorite podcast among a portion of our families and our 3 friends. Until next time.
And the Russians.
Go Gunners, Barracudas, Tigers, and Bobcats. And we wish you all the best in growing your business.
Ward out.
We had so much fun on the Big Theory. Got Jim and Bill on the Big Theory. Bill seems to know his stuff much more so than Jim. And we're talking government procurement with a crazy Bill from him. Got Jim and Bill on the Big Theory.